All right, folks, it's time. So get ready, get set, get comfortable, grab yourself a drink, maybe a little popcorn, because here comes another episode of The Next Conversation. I hope you enjoy. Go, we are live. What's up, dude?
I'm good. I'm good. The Christmas season is upon us. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling well. This is definitely going to be our Christmas New Year episode of 2023. I don't really got much to talk about, so this is going to be a wandering conversation. So you were saying before I started recording, you bought
Yeah.
a four pack of what?
I bought a 4-pack of Magnum tonic wine. Remember a couple
Yes,
episodes ago we were
I
talking about?
do.
Yeah. So, but it takes like 5 weeks to get here.
Where are you ordering
In
it
the
from?
Bronx, in the
Jamaica?
Bronx. Yeah, I think it's coming straight from the island. So it's real.
That's
Yeah, it's
hilarious.
good. It's good. It's this thing, man. It's if you want to give your partner a good Christmas, drink Magnum. I'm telling you.
So is that
It's
how it's advertised? Is it
oh yeah,
advertised as like an aphrodisiac or like a stimulant for men?
absolutely, and women. It is both.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So you like when you go to like a bodega and like up at the front of the counter, they always have, and I've never purchased any of these things, but like they always have had like these random, I don't call them sexual aids, but like nondescript Viagra. You'll see like
yeah. I
goat
know what you're talking.
weed or
I
like
was just gonna
just.
say that the goat one.
Do you know anyone who's ever like? There's a lot of things like when I go to a bodega, and for those listening, like a bodega is like a 7-Eleven, but it's like privately owned, right? They're all over the place in like New York,
Yeah,
like a deli. I'll go there to get like a drink, a beer, a sandwich, milk,
yeah.
eggs, like basic, standard things. But there's
Essentials.
always like, yeah, the essentials, but there's always random, like always at the counter, there's like an assortment of random, like, I don't even know what you want to call them, vitamins and like random, just non-label, like for all you could be like ingesting, I don't know, sawdust. But yeah, in New York, you see like there's always like these aphrodisiac stimulant, like little pills and whatnot that you can get at one of these places.
Yeah. It's this has it's says it's made with what's the word? It starts with a V. Vigorton. So
Okay, is
yeah,
that like an herb or like some type of
yeah,
Asian or African root?
yes, it's basically it gets you solid as a rock. Is the it's the best way I could say it. But remember that night I told you it's like I thought. I mean, not to get too graphic on the audience, but I thought I was gonna go home and just fuck my mattress. What the hell was going on? That shit because it's like I said, it gives you the caffeine jolt. It gives you like the buzz, like the tipsiness, and it's also herbal. Like it's like drinking like a nice herbal tea too, so you get nutrients and vitamins from it. It's crazy, and it's like taking this Cialis. It's awesome.
Very
Everyone
interesting.
should drink Magnum.
Interesting. Yeah,
Hard,
it is kind of interesting. Like every culture, like we have Viagra now. Like Viagra is a
yeah,
thing, or Cialis, right? But every culture has like herbs that
yeah,
they have like historically consumed for this particular issue.
uh-huh.
Um, it's kind of interesting. Like the Cialis and Viagra is just the next evolution of a centuries, millennia long problem of like how do we encourage and stimulate this aspect of a man's life or and woman's life.
Yeah. No, it's both. And to your question, it the way it's marketed and branded, it's like the goat weed. Like it's clear that so that the bottle has a man and a woman like pressed up against each other in like a caress. You know what I'm saying? So they know, and
Yeah.
basically they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're not making. There's no deception. There's no there.
No,
You know if you're purchasing it, what you're purchasing it for.
yeah, yeah. Shout, shout! Always big up the Caribbean. I love Jamaica, and I on one of my other favorite shows. There, one of my he's an ex hockey player, Ryan Whitney. He went to Montego Bay on vacation, and he just validated everything I thought about. I've never been to Jamaica. Have you, Chris?
No, I've never been. So what was
It's
he saying?
he's basically saying everyone is so it's always in a good mood, so laid back, very chill. No one is high maintenance. Everyone is just in a relaxed state of mind, and they just kind of like go with the flow. They're down for anything. It's every obviously it goes without saying they're all friendly, and then Ryan was like, I don't know if they're all just fucking stoned all the time, but it's like I don't think so. I think
Oh,
just the Jamaican way of life is just so fascinating, and think if you think about it, Chris, this tiny island in the middle of the ocean in the Caribbean Sea, um, is has such an effect pop culture wise and just like fashion, music, art for the entire globe. This little tiny island has such an effect. The music too, huge influence on all these things, and
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, and a tiny island with a small population has an effect uh, like all over the world. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, you can go probably to Japan, and if you were to play like reggae music,
Yeah.
someone it will resonate. Someone will understand what that is. That's interesting. Like I never really thought about that. It's like you're
Hmm.
right. Like it's interesting how like certain cultures, like despite size and magnitude, might have a much larger um, impact on like world culture than let's say like a massive country.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
definitely.
Jamaica has that. Like Haiti, for example, is probably equal in size, but it doesn't really have the same
Hmm. Hmm.
impact on culture as think about Rastafarianism, marijuana, reggae,
Yeah.
Bob Marley,
Uh huh.
like all those things. Like those are like you could probably see someone in almost every country wearing a Bob Marley T-shirt,
Yeah.
um, which is
Exactly.
kind of interesting.
And even when you see the colors, like when you see those colors, you immediately Jamaica. That's the first thing you think of, and
Yeah.
that's why Japan is a good example because Japan is another place that's if you look at it in terms of size and look at the impact Japan has had on the world, crazy too.
Yeah, it's a
But
good point. Yeah, you're right because Japan is not a very large country. You know,
mm-mm.
I actually I like saw something randomly. I think on like Reddit the other day. It was at the I don't know the exact number, but like a large like some of the countries, not the countries, the companies that have been in like I think it's like the top 20 companies that have been in operation over 100 years are all Japanese companies.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like the one thing I always find so fascinating about Japanese culture is like it's the sense of into anything they do well, and they put a lot of effort and energy in doing it. Like I don't think that is like a stereotype, like something is made up. I think it's like actually accurate. Like whether you are a street sweeper, a CEO of a company, or a taxi driver, like you will put like the same amount of energy into doing that. You know the operations that make up that job, like to the best of your ability. Like you will put a sense of like grace and like focus in whatever activity you need to do. It's like a very Japanese quality about them, like part of their mindset, like that's like bred into them. That you don't see that, like you don't see that that's not an
Yeah.
American thing,
No, 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 not
um,
at all.
which I
Yeah,
wish it was. Like, yeah,
yeah. If we could take something from the Japanese, it would be that, and they're also very humble and very like what's the word grounded. I would say. So we were talking to one of our friends, and uh, Japan. It's not like the U.S. where the Northeast has a certain traditions and cultures, and the South has their own, and then the West Coast, and then the Pacific Northwest and the Midwest, etc. All of Japan is kind of one culture, so it's the entire um, country shares these same beliefs and traditions and like cultural impact, and it's kind of cool. So they, but go ahead.
No, no, go continue.
Yeah. So it leads to very like I don't want to bleed. If we can bleed this into the World Cup, because I do want to touch on the World Cup for a little
Oh,
bit.
dude,
Now,
yeah,
now, yeah,
let's talk about everything.
hmm
I'm down to just hang. I'm drink my
yeah.
beer, ponder some of the unponderable things.
I am into the coquito already, so it's been made. It's still fermenting in the fridge, but I cheated a little bit. So this is a halfway coquito. Usually it takes 3 to 4 days in the fridge. So it's evaporated milk, condensed milk, coconut milk. Actually, it's not coconut milk. That's a common misconception. It's cream of coconut. You got to get the
Okay.
Coco Lopez. You know what I'm talking about.
Nice, nice,
The blue
nice, nice,
can.
nice.
Speaking of bodegas, the
Yeah, I was
blue.
gonna say this, exactly. This is where you're going.
Yeah,
Either the bodega or the Goya section of like
of like
Key
Sea
Foods.
Town. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
Coco Lopez. Everyone knows unmistakable can. The blue can with the coconut crushed, or like the split coconut, uh, with the cream coming up. Um, and so you mix those together, and then you throw a little nutmeg, cinnamon,
Oh, sounds
grated
good.
cinnamon, but then you put the cinnamon sticks. So while it's fermenting in the fridge, you got the cinnamon sticks in there. You know
So,
what I'm saying? Yep.
and then do you add like an alcohol to this?
Yes, Bacardi, white rum, only
Ah,
white rum,
so you add like a
white rum.
white. Oh, okay. This is
Yeah,
interesting. This is like a spiked Latin
yeah, like
eggnog.
exactly. It's exactly what it is. It's a Puerto Rican eggnog. Pretty
That
much the
sounds
best.
fantastic.
Yeah. You but it tastes so good. It'll creep up on you, Chris. You know what I'm saying? You
Oh
gotta
yeah, that's the
monitor your
best. That's
coquito.
the best feeling though. It's like
Yeah.
when it all of a sudden you're like,
Whoa.
it's like a hoodie has come on. Like how it's like, oh, I'm wearing a t-shirt. Why do I feel like there's a hood over my head? It's like
Yeah.
yes, that's the coquito.
Yeah, right, exactly. Coquito. Big up. So
Um,
I'm
nice.
drinking a halfway one, so it's not fully she's not fully done yet until Christmas. Until Sunday afternoon. That's when it's gonna
Mm,
be mint.
nice.
But uh, so going back to your original question is like, do I know anyone who has purchased or used one of these products? We've worked with one of them, and let's just say, yeah, we
This
have,
is
and
okay. Okay.
it's a guy that's a, let's just say he was very forward and at times inappropriate in terms of speaking with female customers and employees, and I think you know who I'm talking about. It's his name starts with a D, and he had horrible jail tattoos. His
Ah,
tattoos, yeah,
yes,
you
yes.
know,
Okay.
yeah, right. I'm not.
Yes.
I don't want to. You know who I'm talking about.
No, and I did nothing against this person. So yeah,
Yeah,
keep going.
I actually thought he was quite funny. I got along with him. We
Same here. I have not had not one problem,
no, yeah.
and I could find a lot of. Yeah, he's one of those people that some people didn't like, but I never did me a wrong, and I found him interesting.
Same. And we would do these stupid like stand up type bits in the break room. This is we're going way off track here, but yeah, he would there was a product called Extends that that sold at that same section of your local bodega. But like
Wait, now I don't know if we're talking about the same person. Did this person live near you at one point?
no, I don't
Okay,
believe
okay,
so. He
we are
lived
talking about the same person. Then keep going.
yeah. He wore. You know who I'm talking about. He
Yes,
wore a hat and the Joe Montana Skechers.
yes, yeah, exactly. There we go. I got you.
those
I'm following.
those ridiculous walking shoes. Yeah. Um.
Hey, no hating on
What was
Skechers.
it?
Anyone who wears them,
Yeah, no, yeah, no knock on the Skechers. Was it Joe
I
Montana, or did I get? I think it's Joe Montana was hawking Skechers for a little bit back
maybe I
back
don't know.
back when he needed some dough. He's probably got into some serious gambling
Oh,
issues.
dude,
Yeah.
don't even get me started. That's something we can talk about at some point
Yeah.
later. But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, so he was the biggest proponent. He was the champion of this crusade of the it's a product called Extends, and he would tell me how he had these escapades with women and how Extends helped him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Perform.
pleasure her through the whole night. And I obviously was skeptical. I was like,
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. It's like, is how much,
I don't
how
know.
truthful do we believe these
I
stories
don't
to
know. I've
be?
never tried Extends, but it's a product you could. I don't know if you could still get it, but
It's kind of crazy though. I think you probably could because like when you go to like a bodega, there's so many things that like for if someone like a food inspector came in there, there's probably things that are illegal. Like you know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
go in and you see some of these like nondescript packaging. It's like where are you getting this from? Like where are you even purchasing this from? There's no
God.
FDA approval of this. Like for all you know, it's like a little
Mm.
speed tobacco mixed up with maybe like 1% cocaine.
Yeah.
Somehow they're able to package it and sell it.
Yeah. Weren't they selling like fentanyl in like the synthetic weed in
So that was
I
another thing.
think
Like the synthetic weed, I never understood what that was. I've seen it sold, and I just was like, I never understood like what is this thing and who would purchase it? Like, why would you purchase this thing? Like to me, that was
mm,
the most sketchy, potentially like hurt like I'm like no, I'm not getting this from like Mohammed, no offense to any Mohammeds, but Mohammed, my like neighborhood bodega owner, I don't know you, man. I'm not like I'm not buying this.
yeah, exactly. And it was um it was said to be the cause of when there is that zombie apocalypse underneath
Oh
the
yeah, because there
mortar.
was bath
Yeah.
salts.
Yeah, exactly.
You used to be able to buy bath salts
Mm,
at like all over the country, or at like delis and bodegas, like these kind of like mom and pop convenience stores.
yeah.
And which is insane. Like, yeah, people would go and have like bath salt, like psychosis, and
Yeah.
yeah, would just freak out. There was like people ate other people, like very crazy. I think
Hmm.
The McGaffey guy, he was big with bath salts. I think he had like he made his own versions and loved them.
Yeah.
Go,
That's
go ahead.
I don't know what the but I've never done it, but there's
I have no desire.
what's the high like on like what's the draw of it?
I really let me I mean let's since we have a
Yeah.
second, let's look it up. I
It
really don't know. I'm assuming there's some degree of euphoria, right? Because
it
why
has to
not?
be.
But like it's just same thing with the people who have like recently what is it like the smoking of like a certain type of poisonous frog. Have you heard about this?
I have actually a
And,
little bit. Good.
yeah, and like how they talk about how it's like what is it? It's like 30 minutes of hell, like horrible pain, and then like 5 minutes or like 2 minutes of like pure euphoria. But it's like you got to get through the hell to get to the euphoria. Let's see, bath
Yeah,
salts.
yeah. I looked it up too.
So in the United Kingdom, it's called monkey dust. FYI, that's kind of random.
Monkey dust.
Recreational designer drugs.
Yeah, this is everything I'm seeing is bad. But anyway, everyone should just do DMT. Do ayahuasca and DMT if you want to get wild.
So,
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, where I'm trying to. What are the
What's the
feelings?
yeah? This
Usage can be ingested orally, snorted, smoked, or injected. Effects:
eh.
bath salts or monkey dust comes in a powdered or crystallized form, which can be swallowed, smoked, injected, or snorted.
Jesus.
The effects are similar to MDMA or cocaine, but with a duration of 5 to 6 hours. So I
Ah,
think that's significantly longer.
Yeah.
Both substances cause a rapid onset of action in the central nervous system. And okay, in larger doses, this class of substances can cause effects similar to those seen in cases of serotonin syndrome. I have no idea what that is.
All right. So
Da-da-da.
it releases your serotonin. So it's like Molly and MDMA.
Interesting. And I guess they were able to
All right.
sell it for a while legally.
Hmm.
Yeah, bath
Okay.
salts was originally a research chemical or legal highs. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, that's crazy stuff. I, to me, part of me is like, make all of these things legal because it's like you ain't stopping people from trying to chase euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think about it, that's like all of these drugs. Like, that's what people are. It's almost like people are all chasing heaven in their their for many people their life's journey is trying to find
Mm.
that piece of paradise, like one inhalation, one, you know, shot, one pill at a time. Like, you ain't gonna stop that, like, no matter what.
Yeah, I know. I know.
If people are willing to smoke a dead poisonous frog, like, you ain't stopping people, man. There's no end to that.
I know. Yeah, we're willing to go to great lengths to like achieve that feeling. And
Yeah,
so
exactly. If someone said, "Hey, like, go climb this mountain. Inside this mountain, there's this mushroom that you could consume," you best believe there's gonna be more than one
someone's gonna
person
do
trying
it.
to climb that mountain.
Yeah. So
It's kind of a crazy thing about humans.
yeah, so it's yeah. I love how all of our I think Bertrand said it too in the last episode. All whenever we talk, it always skews toward like we start getting into the psychedelic realm at some point. It'd be like
Yeah, dude. It's because it's an interesting realm, and
it is.
also it's like we're not talking about something that's specific to us. Like, what we just talked about for the last like 10 minutes is like these were phenomenons happening like in culture. Like, there was a period where bath salts were like very popular. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people are taking this thing, and it's like, well, what are they seeking? Like, they're seeking like an escape. They're seeking euphoria. They're seeking
Yeah,
something beyond this, mortal coil.
I know. Yeah, that's why if anyone's out there, do a bit of mushrooms and do some DMT. That's telling you that's what you want to do, and you can have a relaxing drink from now and then and smoke weed. You don't need to get into these hard pharmaceutical narcotics. You don't want that.
And the thing is, like, with those things, it's like you don't really hear of too many stories. It's kind of interesting when you talk about drugs. Like, there's not many stories of people who go down those paths and do them with any degree of moderate. Like, you get people who you'll meet and have a few drinks or maybe smoke a little bit of weed throughout their life with really no lasting impact,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, like, there's a lot of other drugs where it's like this is not going to happen. Like, I don't believe you can recreate like cocaine. Like, I know some people who I would say, quote unquote, maybe use it periodically, but
Mm-hmm.
to me it's like I think there's certain roads that if you go down and you open that door, it's like that's a hard door to close just because like the drug itself is just so
Yeah.
like rewarding. Like, I don't think you meet too many people who have had like who've had a who say cocaine is a bad feeling. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it might lead them to do some bad things, but like I think very few people will say, "Oh no, like, yeah, I did it and I didn't like it." Like, most people like it. It's because it plays on
Yeah.
the human physiology in a way that you're gonna like it. Um,
Yeah. That's
but I feel
why
like, listen to Joey Diaz, like, for example. That's a guy who went
he's an
down and
expert.
dirty with cocaine,
Yeah.
and his stories are fun to listen to, but like, you would not want to live that life. Like, that's the life of like a degenerate. Like, honestly, like, it's a funny story to hear about, but like, if you were in those rooms actually like there when these events are happening, you're like, oh man, come on, bro. Like, it's not a
Yeah,
good
I
look.
know. But coke is associated with partying and dancing, so it has not just in America, all around the world, it's
Oh yeah.
associated with like having a good time, good music, you're with good
It's a life
company.
and it's an
Yeah,
enhancer.
correct. And which is different from heroin, because heroin is more of a I'm alone, like it's more of a junkie type drug.
So I have two theories. I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever told you this theory, but like, and I think it might be true. And I've never heard anyone else say this, but
Mm-hmm.
when culture, when society, like you have these two escapes, right? Right, you have cocaine, you have heroin. So you have opioids and cocaine.
And
I don't know what it's.
methamphetamine,
You have
methamphetamine.
things. So you have uppers and you have downers. Let's just say that.
Correct, correct.
Right, heroin I would say is a downer. Cocaine is an upper.
Yeah.
When the life is going well, when culture, when the world, when society, 80s, right? The 80s was like a fairly good time. Like I think the economy was very good. Money was good for most people.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you see? You saw the rise of cocaine because
Yep.
people like life was good and people wanted to experience life even more, right? Like you said, Studio 54, like people were out and
Mm-hmm.
about and they wanted something that would make what was already kind of a good
Yep.
period in history even better. Like live life even full tilt, be even more engaged, right? So when life is good, I think
It's true.
stimulants are on the rise. Cocaine is on the rise. When society, life, the world gets bad, people seek the escape and they
Mm.
seek heroin because heroin takes you out of the world and into this like synthetic paradise. Cocaine puts you right into the world where you feel everything, you see everything, everything is heightened. And
Yep.
I think that's the human continuum, right? Yeah, when life is good, you see heroin that increase, opioids increase, and when life gets bad, or
No,
reverse, like
opposite, opposite.
yeah,
Yeah.
when life is good, you see like cocaine, you see amphetamines, methamphetamines. Like people are like, oh, I want to stay up for 12 days and just like
Yeah.
have sex and party and dance, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Drive from the East Coast to the West Coast in one shot, like
Mm-hmm.
crazy
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when life gets bad, it's like I want to zip off to my little piece of paradise with a needle in a dark room.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we're in an opioid crisis, and I do think that maybe is part of it, right? Like
Oh yeah,
80s
absolutely.
to today, like I would say to some degree for a lot of people, it's a life has got maybe some more difficult, and you've seen opioids increase ever more.
Yeah.
One reason psychologically, not
Yeah.
the only reason.
No,
So
no, no, that's a good point. And now, if you want to get even deeper into that, there's two legalized forms of each of these substances now. There's painkillers, and there's Adderall, which is just this. It's the same thing. It's just over the. It's not over the counter. It's prescription medication instead of a
it's
street drug.
legal form,
Instead of a
yeah,
street drug. Yeah.
dude. The one thing, so I've been watching like I'm pouring my beer into a Chinese tea cup. One
Woo.
second.
Is this a customized teacup? That's what I picture.
Dude, this is like so. My brother, he did like
Oh, no,
he
here we
taught
go.
English in China, and he brought me back a tea set.
Nice.
So I have these little clay cups that like fit just like very small cups that you would drink like you know less than a cup of like a fourth of a cup of tea out
I
of.
can picture it. Yeah.
And now I'm drinking my smoky beer, which
So,
smoky beer. I've never had a smoky beer before.
yeah, well, describe it. What does it look like? Is it good?
So it's I don't know. I can't. The more I drink it, the less the smokiness affects me. But when I first took a sip, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Why do I taste like a bonfire in my mouth? Like I've had scotch, like good, like real single malt scotch, which is very smoky, and you're like, whoa, like
I
you
like that.
kind of like it, but you kind of don't like it. Like it's kind of a dance between the two feelings. And this beer has it. So I'll read you the back. Let's see.
Yeah, I like. Before you do that, I like scotch. It makes me dance.
Scotch, yeah, man,
Scotch is the shit.
Scotch will get you, and it makes sense why
I
Scotch
love
came from
scotch.
where it came, right? Because
Right.
like you think about this, Scotch came from a relatively wet, like moist land, Scotland, right? It rains, very
Cool.
grassy. You need to escape from the chill of Mother Nature. So you create an elixir that literally puts
Mm.
fire into you. And if you read about Scotch in Scotland, it was originally a medicinal beverage. Like it was medicine. Like
Yeah.
it was something administered as like a medicine. And if you read any like old books, it's like how like people would give you brandy. Like you'll read like a classic literature, and someone comes out of the rain and they're chilled, and they'll say, "Oh, go get him a cup of brandy." Kind of like the same idea. It was like these fortified beverages that kind of like reinvigorate. It's almost like smelling salts.
Hmm.
So let's see, the historic smoked beer brewery, which is like never heard about this. Some words I can't pronounce in another country. Traditionally, beech has been and still is used. The malt for Schlengera oak smoke is kilned with oak wood. The resulting Schlengera oak smalt has a smoother and more multi-layered smoky note than the intensely aromatic beech smoke malt. Hence, the complex smokiness in this double bock is paired with the
It's a Bach.
multifaceted
Okay.
bitterness of
Yeah.
a finest Halerto aroma hops. So it's based off a 14th century recipe.
Mm.
Interesting. But I like it's in a bottle.
Yeah.
8% makes it looks like something a monk would
That
drink.
was one of the worst ad reads I've ever heard, dude, by
It
the way.
was pretty bad. I'm glad they're not. We have no sponsors, but they're not a
Yeah,
sponsor of this program.
that was bad. Um, but also, before we move on, I would want to say, speaking of moist, wet lands, I love visiting those. If you catch my drift,
Yeah.
I'm a
I,
certified explorer.
I follow what you're laying down.
Yeah. So big, yeah, big up Scotland every single time. Come on. But
Okay. What was I gonna say?
I want to
All right,
throw something at
go
you.
ahead.
Um, it's Christmas time, and
Mhm.
I want to get this in first before I ask my question to you.
Okay.
And
Hit me.
it, Christmas, as I've gotten older, I've begun to appreciate Christmas more. Not because I don't really do the big family thing on Christmas as most people do, but that's a personal me thing. I think the audience might, and you definitely know, but the audience knows, like, there's not families. There's issues in the family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not a big family Christmas guy, but
Also, your family is not near you.
yeah, yes, and we're kind of like spread out, all of us now. So, in any event, eh, Christmas to me now is all about spending time. If you ask me what is Christmas, he'd be like, Bobby A. What is Bobby Christmas? Bobby Chris Kringle, Bobby Santa Claus, Bobby Rudolph, Bobby Frosty, Bobby Frosty. I think I might like that the best. Um, he'd be like, what? He's like, what does Christmas mean to you? Christmas is about spending time, having a couple drinks, smoking some herb, and eating good food, and basically getting fucked up with your friends and family and having a good time. It's not about gifts and money and waiting online to buy the latest thing, and unless presents, yes, all right, fine. It's almost a chore to get presents now. It's not a fun thing. So what I want to propose is Christmas should just be about getting drunk and high with your friends and family, the people you love. Or you can add to it where, if you a gift giving should always be something you create. So it could be a handwritten note, which is my favorite. Anyone wants to, I think I've said this before on this show. If anyone wants to get me a present, birthday, whatever, fucking finally becoming a mature adult, present, Christmas, whatever, who cares? Uh, just write me a handwritten note and mail it to me. That's going to be mean more to me than anything else. So if a gift should be something you create, because we know a bunch of artists too. If I had that talent, I would never buy a gift. I would just like draw someone something, or paint something. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you Gifts should be created, not bought. So nothing store bought. And you got to
Yeah.
remember that Christmas is not about Santa Claus. It's not about going to the mall and fucking waiting in line and getting this. Remember well, when we were growing up, there was like Tickle Me Elmo and like Power Ranger shit. Like this is we're going way back in the day, but like this is Christmas is not about that. It's about having a good meal and spending time and having fun with your friends and family. That's what it is. Forget about everything else you see in America that's commercialized. That's what Christmas is.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's yeah. I think that's very true. I mean, that's the intent of most holidays from every culture, right? It's like historically, like the get like thing about Christmas for take Christmas because Christmas is coming up. Like historically, I don't think the giving of gifts was really like a super part of the experience, right? It was more remembrance of an event or tradition or family. Um, and then yeah, I think we kind of we've commercialized many things, right? Think about it. Think about like the holiday of like Valentine's Day, which I believe is
Yeah,
a purely
manufactured. Yeah,
yeah, corporate created event um, that we were programmed to believe was something we needed to do.
yeah, but
No, so
now,
yeah,
yeah, but
I'm right
now
there
if you,
with you.
I agree. But now don't, if you don't do something for Valentine's, you can't get laid anymore. So it's just, it's
Or a
they
better way to look
fucked us
at it
over.
is like if you can find someone who sees through that event, then you know you found like a keeper for yourself.
Yeah, definitely agree. I
Like I think
couldn't
that's
agree.
how like at least that's how yeah, it's a shame like we're gonna go down this rabbit hole now, but
No,
like
good.
when it comes to like dating or trying to find someone,
Mm,
this is like a thing. I think one thing we had a conversation before a few weeks ago about like let's say mid 30s, getting older,
mm,
and we talk about mind shifts and stuff like that.
yeah.
I do think like the one thing is like if you haven't found someone in your 30s, like one thing that becomes more challenging is that like you've lived and you have certain like views on things, so trying to find someone that matches those views or is at least has a view that's complementary that works together becomes more difficult because when you're younger you let's be honest you have less views because you don't know that much. Like I
Yeah.
still don't know that much, but when you're younger you know even less. And as you get older it's like it becomes more and more difficult. So like the Valentine's Day thing is true. Like I think it would be difficult to find someone who like if they like if I met someone who loved like wanted gifts and like it's nice to get a gift. It's nice
Mm-hmm.
to give a gift. But like and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But there are people I have met who like it's very important like if they're given a gift. Like that's their love language. Like a material thing is like and like depending on how many gifts that were given, like they might not be happy. Like to me, like that's like a huge red flag. like, um,
Yeah,
like
I
I
would
can't
say.
because to me, I'm like, no, it's like that doesn't that's not good. Like you've been programmed to believe like into like focus on these material things that don't really matter. But
Yeah.
anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
Yes. So, leading off that, no, I agree. I basically I'm saying fuck you, Santa Claus, and fuck your gifts. I don't care if you can fly around the world and give everyone gifts. Keep them.
I do think it's also different when you're like when you like cause we don't have kids, but like I think if you have kids, like the gift giving changes because like you're giving a gift to this child that you love, and like you're gonna get so much out of seeing them react to it. Like I so I think
Yeah, but
that's like the reinvigoration of oh like yeah giving like wanting to buy a gift. But when you're an adult and like other adults, it's different. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, but I see your point, but my pushback would be, but now it's just like a video game or some console. You're giving them some electronic device. That's what you're giving them. Pretty soon, you're going to be giving kids like robot friends. Some like 8-year-old robot. that can be their friend or some shit like that, and then it's gonna turn into like a sex robot later. So,
I mean, let's
but
be
yeah,
honest. The moment robots fully, like, the moment Westworld is possible, like, what's actually funny about Westworld, another tangent,
yeah,
you watch more seasons than I did. I watched the first season. But you know what?
yeah.
That is very realistic because that's exactly what would
It's gonna
happen.
happen. That park,
Like,
yeah.
if you had robots that were that essentially they're human, like they're androids, like for lack of a better,
Mm-hmm.
we'll the first thing that will happen. It's like so there. I read this somewhere was that like any technology that the porn industry gets behind tends to survive. So like they use an example
Sure.
of like do you remember mini discs when we were like maybe 14, 15, 16 years old, maybe older than that? There was like a new technology, it was mini discs,
Yeah, I
and it was
do.
like,
Yeah.
do you remember that?
It was it like kind of like a floppy disk where you could store information.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very small,
Yeah.
high
Yes.
tech, could store a lot. Like this was around way
Hmm.
after floppy disks, but like CDs were around, but it was kind of like the next evolution, like this
Right.
new, like kind of like A track, but like so like
Yeah.
these things. And it died out. Like no one uses them, but it was like a pretty big deal. Like even I had like a little mini disc player, and it was like a pretty cool new piece of technology. So like they use that as an example. Like the porn industry didn't get behind it, and like that medium of technology did not exist. It didn't live on. Whereas CDs exist, Blu-ray survived, and now like streaming obviously. But like the mediums that the porn industry gets behind tend to survive. Like the porn industry is a massive. It's kind of sick actually how big of an industry it is in our society. Like it's billions and billions and billions of dollars are
Hmm.
in the porn industry.
Yep.
And you best believe if robots, lifelike robots, come into existence, which they will, that'll
Yeah.
be I would imagine that will be not the byproduct, but maybe even the reason they were invented. Like
Uh,
robot wives, robot
mhm.
husbands, robot boyfriends,
Yeah.
robot sex workers.
And guess who's at the forefront of that technology? The Japanese. If they're making the road, they're gonna make the sex
Bro,
robots.
I think I trust more the Japanese than the Chinese.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So like
The
I'd rather the Japanese come up with them than
Yeah,
the
but you're
Chinese.
right. It's such think about things when you think about things that'll never go out of style, quote unquote. You got the pornography is it's right up there with like eating. It's just never never gonna
Dude,
go out of
it's
style.
never gonna go
Yeah,
away. It's
yeah,
never gonna stop. Like I mean, I think they even find like ancient like graffiti, and it's like
yeah.
it's pornographic. It's like boobs and like penises and like sex acts, like thousands of years ago. Like human beings, this is my one view. Is like we're gonna be talking about all kinds of stuff. I'm down to talk. I don't know what your schedule is.
No, no, keep going, man.
Um, I
It's
got another
Christmas
beer
Eve. It's
lined up.
Christmas Eve. I got the coquitos flowing like the
Yeah.
salmon of Capistrano. Shout out Lloyd Christmas. You know the
um.
great movie, by
Well,
the way. Which
oh,
we that was my question. I was gonna ask you later. Christmas movies, but let's finish your
oh
point.
yeah, yeah. What was I gonna say? It was that. Oh yeah, it's like this idea that like human beings are like this progressivism, right? Like this whole idea of progressivism is like a lot of people believe. I think that like human beings are we're like evolving and that like we're so different from like ancient peoples and like our ancestors and like oh like we have this technology and like there's just like no like we're just very different and like and many people were like we're getting better, we're moving forward. It's like I don't buy that shit, dude. I think you can dress up
Mm-hmm.
a pig however you want it to be, but it's still a pig. Like I think that's kind of how humans are. Like I don't think if I had a time machine and I went back 2000 years or 10,000 years and I got a bunch of people together, we're going to have a conversation and let's say we could all communicate together. I don't think it would be like talking to another human, like another species. I think we'd have a lot more in common. I think we probably would be able to crack jokes and would be able to like resonate and vibe off of a lot of things. Like I think if you got two husbands together, one from like the 2022 and one from like 4,000 years ago, I bet you they have a lot in common talking about their wives. Like I bet you they could like make the same complaints. Like I can almost guarantee you, or like talking about their kids and what they're dealing with. Like this ancient Greek is talking about his his rebel child. The rebel child might be doing something different, like beating the slaves, a little different than the kid who's like, I don't know, didn't get good grades in school. But still, it's like they're still complaining about their kids. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so like pornography, just use that example. Like the same things that stimulate us and also cause us problems are the same things in many cases that cause people problems back in the day. Even
Hmm.
like social media is a new phenomenon, but it's not really that new if you think about what it
Like
does to us, right? It's like what it
biologically,
people
yeah.
yeah, like what do people like? People like to have their opinions heard. Whether you live in a tribe or you know what I mean, like you still like people like to have their opinions heard. All social media has done is given people more access to have their opinions heard. Like it's
Hmm.
not really like made people that are unopinionated opinionated. It's like no, usually everyone's opinionated. It's just that they don't have an opportunity to voice those opinions. And now
Hmm.
with social media, you can voice them. Uh People have always liked popularity and like wanting to be high class and at the top of the food chain. It's not a different phenomenon. Social media gives you the ability to essentially enact those certain human qualities that I think all humans have had, like for as long as humans have been on the planet. That's
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah. It's you get the same dopamine release. It's
Exactly. The
yeah,
brain ain't different.
right.
Like I don't care. Like the humans are humans. Like go back 10,000 years, there were humans on the planet. Those humans were biologically the same as us.
Hmm.
That means same things affected them the same way they affect us.
Right. Our,
Not that different.
ours are just more digital and electronic. But it's you're right. That's I never thought about it that way. That's a
And
good.
we have greater access, like
Yeah.
right, like what I'm saying is that the difference is like, all right, if you're in a group of 10 and there's only 10 people you see, everything plays out the same but just on a smaller scale. Whereas now it's the same impulses, the same positive and negative impulse. It's just that what you say, let's say you could say something on Twitter and for some reason a million people see it and vibe off it,
Hmm.
and you get that dopamine rush or release. It's the same thing. It's just the numbers have changed.
Right. Right.
You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same. I'm trying to draw an analogy. It's just like we're all the same. We just put on different masks now. It's the
Yeah, it's the
same.
same input
Yeah.
output. It's just the quantities are different.
Yeah, and aesthetically it looks different, but it's the same thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
It's like why is alcohol? As long as there's been humans on the planet, there's been humans consuming some form of alcohol,
hmm yeah,
right?
but
So
back in the day we used to put mushrooms. You know what I'm saying? If
we did all kinds of stuff, like, but you know what I
we
mean.
used to
It's
put
like people
mushrooms in
have
the wine.
trying to change their perception of reality, right? There's no different. Like I would imagine there, like you go into like California and you see these people who are like addicted to drugs. I imagine you go back in time, like you find people the same. Like
Oh yeah.
they got a little bit like too enamored by the hallucinogenic beer. And
Yeah.
like I bet you in that culture there was probably a derogatory word to describe that
Yeah,
person. Like
it's true.
can't handle their psychedelic beer.
I know. He's tripping. He's tripping too much, man. It's
Yo, but hey Bob, man, Bob can't handle it, man. Bob, you got to go till the field. Can't be just drinking the psychedelic beer all the time.
yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
dude, man, I can't. I gotta drink the beer.
And meanwhile, yeah, his family is just disowned him. It's the same thing. His family disowned
Yes,
him because he's fucking tripping all the time. That's hilarious.
dude.
Uh,
I wanted to bring up, yo. I want to change subject for 1 second because I'm
yeah,
thinking about gambling because gambling's been going around for thousands of years,
yeah,
right? And people, dude, have you noticed like gambling is like sports gambling is gotten
gigantic.
when did this switch get flipped? Like
Um,
in the U.S., because sports gambling used to be illegal unless you lived in New York. I mean, in
in
Nevada, right?
Nevada or New Jersey, Atlantic City.
So now, when did it get flipped? Where like now, like any like when I watch UFC or sporting events, it's like you're seeing all the stats. You're seeing like the what's that big company who's the sports betting?
DraftKings.
DraftKings is literally paying everyone for advertising.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
Yeah, so I can speak to that because I've
I
placed a few
know.
bets. Um, so it got big once. So a lot of things have happened federally, um, in terms of policy with the government, but they've never actually um, addressed gambling or um, marijuana usage. That's been left to the states. Uh, so once all these states, and it became big during COVID. Once a lot of these state governments started losing a lot of money, and because things like having to pay for healthcare and unemployment, like historic amounts of unemployment, etc. The
Yeah.
the way that the remedy to like fill up the war chest again for the state, like would be okay, let's make gambling illegal, let's make marijuana illegal, and then we'll tax the shit out of it. That'll make up for this gigantic hit we took over these last 2 years. So COVID was really the launch pad for all these states legalizing gambling. Now New York has dragged its feet a little bit with marijuana, but we all know that's eventually going to happen. It should have happened already because it, they've also just released. I think it's New York. They released everyone who had like a felony marijuana possession or distribution charge. You're just free to go, and it was under the guise of, oh, the prisons are too full. We can't a afford that, and b we're going to spread COVID. The more people that are in like confined, or
Yeah.
we're going to spread the disease, and costs it costs thousands of dollars to keep an inmate in prison because they're getting regular meals. I'm not trying to say it's some kind of vacation, you know what I'm saying? But it costs money to keep a prisoner in prison because you got to feed them. They still need to take showers. There's still healthcare stuff. There's still medical stuff that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
it costs money. So if states started relaxing all these, let's just call a spade, these puritanical laws against gambling, I think you and I are of the same ilk. If you have a legitimate gambling addiction, please seek help, and I'll be the first one to have a conversation for you because I just love talking to people and learning, but I'll help you, man. I will sympathize with that. Now, if you just want to have a little fun with your money and you have discipline and you can control yourself, why can't you gamble? What's wrong with that? Be an adult, and I think you mentioned him earlier, like Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Chappelle, all these guys, like all of our favorite comedians, they say the same thing. It's like, listen, if you're an adult and you want to go and put this amount of money on this X game or this certain horse, like horse racing has always been big. Remember the OTBs in New York? You remember the off track betting back in the
Oh
day?
yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember this.
So if you're a disciplined, well-adjusted, intelligent adult, why can't you go gamble on a sports game? Now, the counter argument would always be, oh, but it's an addiction. You can get it's a slippery slope. Yes, I agree with that. It is true, but if it's controlled, if there's some way that we can control that, and now state governments are now that it's more digital and it's not just you going to the off track betting and blowing your entire paycheck there, which I've seen, which I growing up in the Bronx, it's not there anymore. But if anyone remembers, on Westchester Avenue, there was an off-track betting, and which was on my way home from school on the walk. So every single day, I would pass it. It was closed when I was going to school, but on the way back, I would just see people. It just smelled like cigarettes. You could smell it from a block away, and there would be the gamblers, just who just lost all their entire Friday paycheck on the fucking ponies outside. So it was like that scene. Remember the scene in Seinfeld where Kramer bets on the mutter? His mother was the mutter.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah.
These guys with the newspaper in their hand, just dejected because they're like, I was supposed to pick up groceries before I got home. What am I gonna do? So um, you can look back on that and laugh now at perils past, but that's a serious problem, and I'm
I
not
mean, dude,
believing that. Yeah,
yeah, gambling is. I'm sorry, keep
yeah,
going.
yeah. But my overall point is, if you're, it's like you said, it's all of these things have the same. This is actually a pretty good conversation because all of these things have the same theme. It's the same thing with mushroom usage, with um, DMT, with alcohol, with weed. If you just use it smartly and like with discipline, it's actually good. The people gambling is fun. No one is going to deny that it's fun. Um, but you just got to be smart about it. It is. It is. I'm not wrong. I'm not
No,
wrong.
I mean, I would say, I don't consider myself a gambler per se, but no, it is fun. Even if you bet $1 on something, you
Yeah,
watch how
it
it
changes everything. Yeah.
intensifies your watching of it, right? Because you're a little bit more, even if the dollar, right? It's not gonna make or break you, but it does get you more focused. It's like I was talking to a guy who does fantasy football. I was talking to him at the gym, and it was interesting because I don't watch football like that, and I've never played fantasy football. But he's describing the activity of it, and the comment I made was just like, "Oh, this is like really interesting because it's brought you deeper into the game." And he was like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "I used to follow my team, but now watching fantasy football or playing fantasy football, he's like, now it's not just about my team. It's more of making me a student of the game, right? Like I'm looking at all the teams,
Yeah,
all
I
the
agree with
players,
that.
the strength. It makes the game more enjoyable because it draws you in deeper beyond just that basic fan level. I think the thing with like just to riff off what you were saying, um, these things are complicated. Like I would not actually want to be a lawyer, like a politician, someone in government having to legislate these things because it's like very difficult. Like I tend to be of the mind of what you were saying. It's like I think human beings, like I'm a free person. Like I should have the right to do whatever I want to do with my body within reason, as long as it's not affecting someone else. And then it comes to like let's say there's a certain drug, like let's say I have a debilitating, like a cancer, and there's some drug that has a 95% of killing me, but there's a 5% chance it could cure me. And if I don't take it, I'm going to die at some point. I should have the right to take that. It's like my choice, right? Like I will sign at the line. It's my body. I'm going to take this chance, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll the chips let the chips fall where they may. Right? You've warned me. I understand, but it's my right to take it. And I agree with that. Like that's your body, your choice, your rights. Like for lack, and there's some negatives about that. But like situations where like we could probably go into certain directions where we could have the same conversation about your body and maybe disagree or have a different interpretation of that. But like when it comes to drugs and things like that, gambling, right? Like I don't think it's the government's job to like legislate like good behavior, right? Like it's not your right to it's not your job to tell me like what's right and what's wrong within reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when it comes to drugs. Now, if I do something that affects society because of my choice, then like I think all right, you're gonna have to deal with that,
There should be
right?
punishment. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you want to do cocaine and then you go out and do something crazy, all right, dude, you're gonna be responsible for that. But if somehow you're a coke user who never does anything bad, I don't think I like. Again, I would say that it's like Dave Chappelle commenting. This is a
Mm.
digression for a second, but there was that one doctor who was on Joe Rogan at one point. He's been on a couple other podcasts, and he's like a proponent of drug use.
Mm.
Like, and he periodically does cocaine, and he's kind of saying like let's take away the stigma. Like these things are good, like in moderate, like kind of like we said in moderation and
Mm.
like, if you're disciplined. And I love like Joe Rogan was trying to like explain to Dave Chappelle about this guy, And kind of saying, oh, like kind of like in a positive way. And Dave Chappelle's answer was kind of like, sounds like every drug addict I've ever met. Like pretty much like trying to rationalize their usage. So like again, I would say that like there's a lot of drugs that I would say the vast majority of people that you are unlocking Pandora's box and like you're not gonna be able to control that. Like, I don't think most people could do heroin and it be like a life enriching long term habit that
Hmm.
causes no negative aspects to their life. I'm not that strong. I would never even dance with that devil because it's not worth it. Even with like cocaine, like I've known people who've done cocaine and I don't think that they're like avid cocaine users, but
Hmm.
I would imagine once they've done it once, if it pops up at a party, they're going to do it again, right? So like then it like the door is open now. So like if it became abundant, your usage might
Yeah,
increase.
yeah, I agree.
Um
Yeah, true.
but again, it's like that's your choice. Like if you want to like ruin, it's the same thing like this. This is what I think with like it's contradictory when it comes to government and like this is why you can go down conspiracy theories. It's
Hmm.
like gambling. The lottery exists. I can go to a local deli and get a lottery ticket for the state lottery. That's gambling,
Hmm.
right? Nothing wrong with that, right? That's government sanctioned gambling. They get their cut. You're allowed to do that. So gambling's not illegal. It just depends on the form of gambling for the
Yeah,
longest time, right? Like it's kind of contradictory.
sports gambling. Exactly. It was
Correct.
illegal.
Drugs are illegal, but like you can go buy alcohol. That's a drug. You can go buy cigarettes.
Hmm.
That's a drug. So like a lot of that stuff is kind of just it's not like right or wrong or it's good or bad. It's like no, it's like the government's choosing, in my opinion, based off shady reasons, like what drugs are legal, what drugs are illegal, what activities are legal, or what versions of an activity are
Yeah,
legal
it
or illegal.
it comes down to
That to me
regulation.
is like, yeah, it's like, oh, why are
It's
you so
regulation.
like, yeah, why can you do that, but you can't do this?
Hmm.
Why is it because you get paid more money out of this and then that? Like weed, marijuana, it became legal. I would say, like you said, at the same amount of time where states were like, this is a huge tax. This is a huge
Yep.
amount of money we can make in
Hmm.
taxes. So the same person who was probably telling their kids marijuana is bad is like within the same generation is now saying, oh yeah, it's not so bad. Like I remember I asked a pastor this at one point because I always think about these things as like contradictions. I'm trying to understand. Like I was talking to this pastor, I was like, so like, how are you gonna operate? How is this gonna work? Right? Like for years, you've been telling people or like parents, leaders, marijuana is bad. It's like the bane of society. Da,
Hmm.
da, 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 da. Just say no. Like you're making it was a moral stance. You're not saying that like it's illegal, don't do it. It's like this is evil. This is bad. This is like negative. This is like, you know, it's like you're a bad person if you do that.
Hmm.
Same generation now, those same people, it's now legal. So what were you saying for all those years? That means it wasn't bad? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of just a weird it's like hypocrisy kind of like. This is why like laws to me are just so weird. It's like how can you tell someone say something's bad and then in the same generation now that thing is not illegal anymore and now it's not bad?
Yeah.
I,
It's
that doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah. This is. I mean, that's
Like
re.
imagine being a parent and now like you know what I mean? Like there's a parent who was probably telling their kids that marijuana was evil and then in the same like within
In
their
the
same
devil's
teen
lettuce.
years it became legal and it's like now what like they lost their credibility because it's like you can't say it's bad, can you? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just kind of like digressing.
Yeah, no, no, no. That's. I feel what you're saying because first of all,
It's weird.
we shouldn't be taking any cues from organized religion. It's
Well, no, it's not,
that's
I don't. I'm not saying
evidence.
I'm not blaming. I'm not saying this is not an organized religion thing. Like,
It could be like a
just say
parent
no
teaching.
was taught at every school we grew up. Just say no. Like, dare
There.
was something paid for by the government to teach kids that marijuana specifically was bad.
Yeah.
And now the same government, same lifetime, is now telling the kids and people in general that this thing is not bad.
And not
What's
only is it not
changed?
bad,
Like, this
it's
has nothing to do
helps
with
you.
religion.
Yeah.
This is government. This is the government. The government told you this
Well, you
thing was
said
bad.
pastor, so I said really.
Well, I'm saying I talked to that pastor, but I was
Yeah.
because I was asking. I was like, how are you gonna
Are you?
like? How does that? How would you teach? I could ask a parent the same thing. It's like, how would you? How does this affect your or a
Yeah.
teacher? How do you for the last years you were saying telling your kids don't do this thing, just
Yeah.
say no. How do you get around it now?
All right.
It's like very strange to me.
All right. Wait. I have a. it- You said is was this a recent conversation? Are you back in the church? Are you going back to church?
Oh, I go to church, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
But no, this is something I talk to. Like I talk because when I was in New York, I went to church.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
talking to a
that's why I'm
pastor. Like
asking. Yeah.
yeah, like I knew him there, and this was like years ago. I just was like randomly because like this was you got to think about in our lifetime, like when we were kids, Dare was going on. Like we had the Dare program where I went to school, right? It was a
Yeah.
lot, millions of dollars were spent to try to get kids to not do drugs. Like think about that, government money, tax dollars. Those same kids, 15 years later, us are living in a world with the same government. Many of those people are still in government,
Yeah. Yeah.
are now
I get
telling
you.
people that
I
this
get
is
you.
not bad.
Yeah. It's fucked. It's what it is. I get. I
It's
get.
just kind of, to me, I think I just see hypocrisy because
Yeah. Big time.
it's like
The definition of it. Yeah.
those same people were putting people in jail for decades,
It's so preposterous. It's
like on possession
for a
charges.
plant.
And
That's a
now
plant.
those same politicians, in many cases, are like, you know what I mean? It's just like, so your mind, it's like someone put this, I'll leave my like political rant in 1 second. Someone was talking about Joe Biden for a second,
Oh god.
and they like made an interesting point. They're like, all right, Joe Biden's in his 70s, right?
Yeah.
A man in his 70s or a woman in their 70s, right? You've lived a long time. You have opinions on how the world is, right or wrong, right? You have opinions. It's kind of funny because it's like all like in many cases, in many of the things he's doing and changing and what he's saying, at least at the pulpit, it's like, dude, you're in your 70s. Are you literally like I'm trying to think of a good example. It was like for his whole life, he believed there was men and women.
Yeah.
At 78, he's now saying that maybe there's not men and women. There's men, women, and others. It's just kind of an interesting thing. It's like, all right, dude, like, so you had this epiphany in your late 70s. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
my
It's
point is.
that's just policy platform agenda. Yeah.
It's just people who
Yeah.
don't care. Like people don't have. There's no integrity anymore. Like we can lead into this conversation. I started watching this guy named CoffeeZilla. Have you ever watched CoffeeZilla?
I have no idea. Who this person
Dude,
is.
look into CoffeeZilla. He's like this like young guy who's like a
CoffeeZilla,
investigative
like a jug of
CoffeeZilla, like coffee the
Yeah.
drink, Zilla like Godzilla.
Yeah. You got that part.
And he does like investigative like journalism and like on scams. So he's investigated a lot of like crypto scams. He investigated like something with Logan Paul and like a crypto scam that he did. He investigated and interviewed the SBF guy. He's
Oh yeah,
interviewed a
yeah.
lot of
What's that firm? FTX or whatever that coin.
FTX,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Woo!
he
I
interviewed
yeah.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
He interviewed like a lot of these gurus now, like Andrew Tate, and like investigated their businesses. And like I was watching some of his stuff, and it's just like the thing, like this is the epiphany I had, dude. There's no more truth in the world. Like that's the biggest thing. I think my biggest realization of what has changed I think to some degree, maybe it's never changed. Maybe it's always been this, and I'm just seeing the world for what it is.
Uh,
People just lie. Like people lie. You can't trust anyone. Like all these people on TV, when you go on YouTube, all these people who are saying like how to live, how to do this, how to do that, da da da. Like you have to almost say like they're all lying because when you start to dig a little deeper, it's like you just find like these people They say whatever they need to say to get paid, to progress their agenda,
Votes,
things they don't
get
believe.
votes.
It's kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, politicians, YouTubers, uh, we just become a
CEOs,
society of people
corporate
who just they just talk shit. Like
stooges, yeah.
there's just no, and there's
Athletes,
no longer
celebrities. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly celebrities in it's like how many celebrities have like the SBF thing was kind of interesting for the FTX.
Yeah.
How many celebrities got on board for something
Yeah.
and kind of became spokespersons for a thing of which they did not understand, probably did no due diligence on to see if it was credible. I don't know if I would have either.
Mm.
But like how many people are getting paid to advertise products of which they know nothing about? They just know that they get paid to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
that's what we've become
disgusting,
is
actually.
like a society that like we care so much about getting money
Billboards.
that like
Yeah.
we'll bullshit for we'll say anything for $1.
Yeah. We're all prostitutes and billboards. It's like
Yeah, and
they're
there's no
arenas.
consequence.
There's two crypto coins or firms. I don't even know the right terminology. They have the naming rights to two stadiums. That's how. And what if the coin just disappears now? What the hell happens to the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Kings playing like crypto.com arena? They even name arenas. What if it's all a ruse? What if it was fake? It's
Yeah,
crazy. Dude.
it's kind of it
Yeah.
is a very crazy thing. Like
Uh,
I don't know.
but
It's yeah.
what was I gonna ask? It was fuck. But yeah, I did read about to end that point. I did read about like the FTX, FB, and who's the other guy? Who's like the overlord of the crypto world? CF or some shit like that. CZ, I think
Well,
is.
so
Yeah,
CZ is another guy who
he's more reputable
he
though. Yeah,
yeah, he's not. I mean, I don't.
he's like an.
Again, like I don't know. That's why watching the
Yeah,
CoffeeZilla thing is like he does deep
is
dives
that
and he's
him?
like
Is
investigating.
CoffeeZilla's CZ?
No,
Yeah.
CoffeeZilla is just like
It's,
this young guy who investigates like scams
oh,
and is
all right.
like he's kind of like Clark Kent. Like he's like figuring out. He's gotten like insider information and he just does these like
The
newscasts where he's like
Metropolitan.
talking about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
No, CZ is like as a Chinese guy who runs a crypto exchange called BNB
No, all right.
Binance. It's called Binance.
Okay.
But yes, somehow he's like the guy who kind of like was the one that broke the camel's back when it
Yeah,
came to
he tweeted
FTX.
something and he was like he was like FTX. I looked into FTX like numbers and it ain't good. Something like that. And then it collapsed as soon as he
Well,
said
he also had investments with them, so
yeah.
like he called in some checks that they were owed to him, which was kind of like I think what people have said is like this is what broke the camel's back. Like they were a house of cards, and then I think he was owed, and he called in what he was owed, and it's like that's what was kind of like flicked the dominoes and spiral. But like that's a good example. Like here's a guy, he hasn't been indicted, but let's just say who potentially made off with billions of dollars. And it's like that's like people's livelihoods. Like, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
think
there's
about like the human
savings,
cost
entire
of that. Like
savings. Yeah.
that's it's like this the Bernie Madoff thing is like
Should go to jail for that.
how I'm a guilty person. Like I feel guilty and I have never done anything to this degree. Like how can you look at yourself in the mirror every day? Like the mental gymnastics you would need to go through to just be okay with that. Like it just like that when people talk about like society kind of collapsing, like those are like maybe this is something that's always happened, but like I think now that we're more interconnected, the ability to scam people is ever becoming easier. It's that people like we're creating a society of like soulless people, like who just don't care. Like the ends justify the means. Like I don't know you, you know, I don't care if I robbed you. Like I'm not robbing you by gunpoint, so like it's a victimless crime, but it's like not victimless. Like
No, absolutely not.
people are saddled with like $50,000 debts that they'll live with their whole lives. Like money matters to people. Money doesn't matter if you're at the top of the food chain, but like there's a lot of people out there who have relatively small sums of money that will be debt that will limit them for their whole lives.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah.
We need Batman. Like I'm surprised that there's no vigilante justice. Like
I'm Batman.
dude, bro, like I would love that to happen.
Yeah,
Like I'm surprised there's not some insane billionaire out there who's just like, fuck, I watch Batman. Like
yeah,
I could do this. Like
I
I
know.
have the money, I have the skills. Let's get it on.
You know, that's why I think I made this when Joe was here. When everyone was like, "Why you always get injured all the time?" It's because I'm fighting crime at night, you moron. That's why I'm out.
Yes,
I'm out in the middle of the.
Football Factory is just the
It's
is
Gotham.
the yes, exactly. No, Football Factory is just it's the excuse. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, why are you so tired, man? It's like I was at Football Factory all day.
N-
Reality was that like this Playboy lifestyle is just a ruse,
Yeah.
and you're out there, you know,
I'm fighting crime
breaking necks.
with Lucius Fox technology, and I have an old British butler in my house. Uh,
Yeah,
did you see? There's a new Batman video game, and never I've been out of the video game for like 15 years now, but seeing the trailer of that video game made me want to. It's like I want a PS5. I want to play the Batman game. There's a new.
to,
Yeah, it's crazy. Arkham Knight,
yeah,
I think it's called.
yeah. They're all when you watch the like. For me, it's not even. I don't even play.
Yeah,
Just watching them is kind of like
yeah, it's
entertaining.
fucking cool.
Dude, games are at a whole different level. Like, I don't know when you stopped playing games. I stopped a long time ago. But like when I see
Probably like
someone play, it's like
2007. Yeah,
this is a whole different world.
yeah,
This is a brave new world of gaming.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I want to get into the game, but knowing my personality, if I had that video game accessible to me, I would play it all night. Yeah, I can't do it. I just I need to get my shit together before I can waste hours playing pretending that I'm Batman, because then I'll believe I'm
oh
Batman.
yeah.
it's like it's like remember it's like the we always go back to True Detective. It's the scene where Marty Hart and Russ Cole are going over like the big sprawl conspiracy with like the child trafficking ring, and Marty goes to him. He was like, "Are you sure about this?" And because Russ has been, even though they were thrown off the case, and I think Russ was fired. Uh, he for 15 years after that he was still obsessed with it and still like investigating it, but he was a bartender. He had no authority. And then Marty Hart got fired, but then he became a private detective. That's how he made his living.
Oh,
And
dude, you make me want to watch
yeah.
this again.
And then he goes, "Are you serious? You're still going on about this?" He said, and then he goes, "It looks like you, for the last 15 years, you came up with some idea in your head and you kept drinking it until you believed it." And that's how I would be Batman. I would drink cocaine to the point that I would think I was Batman. I was while I was playing this
Yes,
game.
you're like I will hypnotize myself and
Yeah.
make myself believe it.
Believe that on that television screen, I'm actually fighting crime. That's why it's like I can't go into that. It can't go into that abyss.
Dude, I mean, it'd be a quick reality check. Just jump off something high and feel your knee and be like, okay,
Yeah, not
can't do
bad,
that one.
not bad.
Uh,
But by my all right, so
oh
let's
man,
get back on the
Russ
Christmas.
Cole. I when you said that though, it's like automatically I think of
Watch
the
it
one
again, man.
line where yeah, I watched it not that long ago. I watched it when we did that episode. I think I just rewatched the show.
Nice, nice.
But I like when he says he's kind of like why now, and he's like I had to tie off the knot. Like
Yeah,
pretty much like this was like his he was tying up loose ends, and this was something that had stuck it with him for that 15 years. He was like in Alaska, like he was gone off the grid, and it was like nah. Before I take my end this road, I like this can't be left undone.
I
Yeah,
respect it.
I still think this might be Matthew McConaughey. Like I like him, and I kind of stopped I stopped caring about him because I think he got too like
Mm-hmm.
enamored by his own shadow. But I think True Detective might be to this day, I think that might be his best performance.
It's his tome. It's the Magnus. Yeah.
Like I like thinking about it now for a second. It's like I don't think he's ever done better than that series. Like because that was like 10 movies.
It's such a great television show. It's unreal.
Anyway,
But to bring it back to staying in the same forum, what are Chris Corvo or the Corvo family Christmas movies? Give me a top five, no order. Christmas
okay,
movies.
so
Yeah.
I watched Love Actually yesterday. I like that movie.
Oh,
We'll probably watch Die Hard
nice.
because Die Hard will be on.
It is a
We're
Christmas
not a
movie.
Chris. Yeah, I mean, it is a Chris. They're all Chris. Yeah, every Die
Yeah.
Hard movie takes place like in Christmas. What would be a
Not the third one.
five
Not with
movies?
Sam Jackson.
No, that's like a random one.
Yeah, the
But like
the
the
first two are
two
Christmas.
are definitely
Yeah.
Christmas. What else? Because like we're not the Christmas Story. I never really liked that movie.
Neither do I. Yeah.
I just don't like it. Some people love this film. And I'm like, maybe I'm too old or was too young. I don't know. Home Alone would be another big one.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think both Home Alone, the first and the second one, I think both take place in
They do.
during Christmas time.
Yeah.
What is that? That's 3. I like The Grinch.
The live action Jim Carrey or the cartoon, the animated.
I like both.
All right.
I like both. And I don't know. Let me think. What was the fifth one? I like Bad Santa. I enjoy.
I
I've
love that
watched
you said that.
one.
Yeah.
And I also like. I like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie when he's trying to get what is
Jingle
that movie? He's
All the
trying to get
Way.
the gift. Jingle All the Way is great. And I even like the Tim Allen when he
Claus.
becomes.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that movie too.
Yeah.
There's a new Santa Claus movie that's kind of like a Bad Santa ish, where like I think Santa is like somehow like a
Oh, it's
like supernatural creature and they're trying to kill him. Or
it's
something.
a horror movie, or it has John
Yeah.
Leguizamo. Yeah.
Yes. I kind of want to see that too.
It's like
What
a
about you?
shoot 'em up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like one
Christmas
of these
movie.
kind of like it's Christmas, but they try to take it in a different direction a little bit.
So here's my list. I've thought about this for a long time. I love watching movies on Christmas. That's what brings me back to my childhood. So I love that you said Bad Santa. That's in my top 5. Bad Santa and Die Hard are in my top 5. Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon, classic. That's it's just hilarious. Batman Returns.
That's a good. Yeah, that is also a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yep, keep going.
And in the top 5 is Nightmare Before Christmas too. So two Tim Burtons. And I'll give you an honorable mention. Gremlins. People forget that Gremlins also takes place on Christmas.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Gremlins. Muppet Christmas Carol. And
I like that.
And Trading Places, Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, also on Christmas. And and Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, Dan Aykroyd's Love Pictures.
I'm trying to think. Is Edward Scissorhands a Christmas movie?
It is.
That's another movie. I like that movie a lot actually, but it's hard for me to watch. It's a very sad movie.
It is. But now that you said Edward Scissorhands, Tim Burton loves Christmas. It looks like.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's a couple. I mean, there's another. Isn't Carol? He did a movie called Caroline. I think it was another one of his weird animated films.
Yeah, Tim Burton has something new out now. He rebooted the Addams Family. It's called Wednesday. It's centered on Wednesday.
I watched it.
Yeah,
I watched it with my sister. It's good. It's good. I didn't realize that he directed it because it's not as Tim Burton-y, like because it's a Netflix movie, a show, but it's good. Like the girl who plays Wednesday is like, she's very likable. Like she does a great job. Addams Family, I love the Addams Family.
One of my favorite movies as a child. The Raul Julia one, not the bullshit other ones.
No. Yeah, the classic one.
Yeah, with Angelica Houston and Raul Julia.
Yes, that's a fantastic one.
And Christina Ricci, who I've met in real life.
Yeah, didn't you meet her at the Apple
I
store?
helped her at Apple. She is tiny, but she's a sweetheart. Very, very nice.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how like a lot of these actresses that on the ones that you've seen time and time again, they're small.
It's
Like
very small.
they're
Yeah.
very small. Like a Callista Flockhart, like tiny,
Yeah.
frail would be even a word to
Yeah.
describe them in some cases.
Tom Cruise also like 5'5", man.
Well, and that's why Tom Cruise can look big is like because the girls that are like like Angelina Jolie, like these people are small. Like they're not very big. They're not robust Germanic Viking like characters.
hmm
They're like these tiny people.
Yeah, no, true. They're not. What's that family that they're all actors? The Skarsgårds. They're huge.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're not them. They're
yeah,
like all like over 6 foot tall,
yeah.
man. It's
They're
like
all
a
Vikings.
friggin'
They're all Vikings.
family of giants.
Yeah, they got the Norse blood in them. That's why.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how like that part of the world like that. Yeah, you say it kind of like like Viking. No, they're legitimately
Legitimate.
got Viking blood in them. Like I remember when we worked at the Apple Store, you would get families because you're in New York. It's a lot of tourism,
Mm-hmm.
like from Scandinavia, and the whole family is over 6 foot tall, and like the kids are young. They're like 12, 13, 14, like just at puberty, girl and boy, and they're like towering over you. It's kind of crazy like how big the people are there.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. One of my favorite jokes that I've heard. I forgot which comedian said this on a stand-up. I'll give him credit when we do one of our good like go back
Yeah, we need
episodes.
exactly our error
Yeah,
episode.
error. I like that. Misfires. So
Yes.
he goes. I went to Norway. He was in Oslo, Norway, which is by that part of the world, the Scandinavia. Um, and he goes, well, he's like, I went to Norway, and you want to know what the people in Norway are like? Every girl looks like Tilda Swinton, and every guy looks like Tilda Swinton.
It's a world of androgynous blonde haired blue eyed
Yeah.
people.
So I was like, that's hilarious. That's because it's true though. They're all tall, very blonde, blue eyed, pale skin. They're all Tilda Swinton. He's like, everybody looks like Tilda Swinton. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I forgot. It's one of the like our crew of comedians that we have. Like it's either like uh Joey Diaz. It's someone in the crew, like Bill Burr. Like they're all friends with each other.
Yeah.
It's someone in that crew. I just can't remember who it was.
They need to come up with a name for that because there is definitely like that.
They're like a
There is
rat
that
pack.
group.
Yeah, they're like a
Yeah.
rat pack of
Like
sorts. Yeah.
yeah, like the Louis C.K. is kind of like the old statesman. He's like not in the group, but like they all pay homage to him. But like the Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle,
Joe
Joe
Rogan,
Rogan,
Joey
who I
Diaz.
don't particularly enjoy his comedy, but I like Joe Rogan's show, and I like Joe Rogan for the most part.
I like Joe
But like,
Rogan's
yeah,
podcast way better than his stand up.
I
Way
don't think
better. Yeah.
I don't think his comedy is funny at all. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
think he's
agree.
kind of corny.
Yeah.
But like Theo Vaughn is kind of
He's in
also
that
in that
crew.
group.
Tim Dillon.
Theo Vaughn is hilarious to me.
Tim Dillon also hilarious. Yeah.
Tim Dillon too, man. The character he plays and like some of the stuff he gets away with saying, like I actually like I like it a lot because like sometimes I'm like, dude, there needs to be some people like you. I don't particularly think you're necessarily maybe the best people, but
Yeah.
like I like how you call it like it is and you call bullshit. Like I
Yeah.
think that's an issue right now is that like no one's calling bullshit, and it's just too easy in this day and age to like. It goes back to the fraud stuff. It's like there's no consequences.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can just say, do whatever you want, and there's no consequences. It's like we had this conversation once about like New York because you grew up in New York.
Mhm.
I did not. But like, there was a time, like New York in the 70s and the 80s was more of a rough place. And also, New Yorkers in general were probably more rough. Like, the people who lived, like, were from there, like Queens, Brooklyn, been there two
Yeah.
generations, whatever. Like, these are rough people. Like, if you're on a train and like a homeless guy started to get in your face, like, I would imagine in like the 70s and 80s, like I'm not trying to like a plumber from the Queens would like put you in your place. You know what I mean? Like if someone was like talking up a woman or being like kind of like rude or abusive or whatever, there might be someone on that subway train who's gonna like stand up and like there's danger involved. Like I'll fuck you up. Like I like get away from her, go away. Like these are like you know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah.
consequences for actions. And like nowadays, I don't think there is any consequences. It's like too, like you just see time and time again, people do things that are like borderline illegal, and there's just no like
Mm-hmm.
repercussion for it. It's like not good. It's like a bad chain reaction. Changing subject for 1 second,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of ties in. Did you see the court case with this one recently? I saw this. This must have happened like in the last few weeks. It was like a woman a young woman went to like help her stepdad and then saw on his computer like a naked picture of her from, let's say, like I don't know, 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then she like essentially plotted to kill him, like fed him some form of narcotic and like strangled him or like somehow killed him intentionally, and then like
Murdered him.
went to
Murdered him.
court, murdered him,
Yeah.
like yeah, 100% murdered him. And then she was in court, like she went through
Killed him
court,
intentionally. That was funny.
and yeah, she killed.
Killed them
Yes,
intentionally. Oh,
this was
murdered.
not an
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
This is a murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, murdered. This was not manslaughter. Like it was cold,
That
calculated
was
murder.
funny. But go ahead. Sorry.
Um, and like there's a clip where she like the judge is like the jury has deliberated and is reading the verdict, and like the camera's right on her, and you see her face and her reaction as the jury comes back. And this is in California, which I'm very surprised that this even
Wow.
like honestly, I'm surprised that it didn't come in her favor. But like it came back and they were like guilty.
Mm.
And you just see her like in her wildest dreams, it just didn't appear that there was any
As possible.
chance
Yeah.
that she was going to go to jail for this, like in her mind. And you can just see like 1,000 years pass in like 30 seconds as she's just like it. Her brain is like breaking, trying to like comprehend the fact that she's going to probably go to jail for like 25 years.
Wow.
Um,
No, I don't know
I don't
this.
know why I brought that up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's dude, it's very random.
What is it? Because I think it's you were trying to lend evidence to your point that like the time that we live in now, people don't think when they act there couldn't ever possibly be any consequences to their
Oh,
act.
I 100%
That's why,
thought that she saw her motives as like a righteous
like
act, and
justified
that
or yeah, like
like, oh,
valiant,
this dude had
valiant
this
almost.
person had, yeah, like I kind of like taking back my power, like whatever, and like they're gonna see that this was like I'm the hero here, and it was that's why I said like
Yeah.
in California it's kind of surprising, but yeah, it was like no, you murdered someone, like no matter what, you murdered them, cold, calculated, pure, cold blooded murder.
Premeditation, baby.
Um,
Mens rea. Shout out law school. Mens rea.
there you go. Yeah, who am I talking to?
Yeah.
I'm talking to Bobby
Yeah.
Ye, attorney at law.
Once there's it's called mens rea in the old Latin. Um, once there's premeditation, you're fucked. You're in big time trouble. And she didn't think about that, did she? Didn't watch enough Law and Order, did you? But
No, I mean she probably could have got away with it if she just like acted in the moment.
yeah,
And
maybe,
maybe.
yeah. So I don't know, but yeah,
Um,
but I agree
yeah.
totally to your point. People and in this day and age, it's I don't want to use the world. I don't want to use the word Wild Wild West. Uh, but it kind of is now. Like people, especially with like Twitter and all the social media, you if they think it's like what's that movie? Thunderdome. Thunderdome. They think it's
Yeah, too. Yeah.
Thunderdome. It's just anything's you can just do whatever. It's chaos. It's Mad Max. Um, but there's sometimes, man, and I actually think of all the institutions in the modern world that we live in now that's actually getting better and progressing in a beneficial way is the justice system. It's getting better because the justice system, we just talked about it. Weed, you would get fucking hammered for weed 20 years ago, and the justice system now, I think now with one of the institutions you can say, obviously there's still shady dealings, but and there's still crooked lawyers and ambulance chasers and all that other nonsense, but the justice system now with like the forensic evidence, they're actually the justice system is one of the maybe one of the last bastions of government that is actually progressing in a positive way. So I mean,
Well, I think yeah, with
yeah,
the DNA, I think
yeah,
that's
the
that
forensic stuff,
is
yeah,
yeah, that's huge because think about it, before you could. I mean, how many people have gone to jail for crimes that they did not
yeah,
commit,
it's horrible.
and they've gone to jail for like decades,
They
and
lost in their
in
entire
decades
youth.
later, I mean, they might, yeah, they lost the better part of their lives, and years later, a new form of technology is like providing 100% credible information, saying like, no, not only did this person not do it, but like, here's another person in the system who that connects to their DNA. So here, okay, speaking about the like the justice system, and also that you're a lawyer or have legal training
Yeah,
and have
yeah,
passed
yeah.
the bar.
No no
Uh,
longer licensed.
yeah, so I don't. He
Yeah,
can't give legal advice.
no, can't sign
Actually, you
documents.
probably can't.
I can give
Yeah,
advice. I can counsel.
yes. I'll say you
Can't
probably
sign
can give
documents.
legal
Yeah.
advice because you're not a son. Yeah, but what I was gonna ask you is like, what is your thought on like some of these states or cities who are turning a blind eye towards like petty crimes? Like, what is your view on that?
Uh,
'Cause, I mean, I think that that is an epidemic in certain cities, like Chicago. I think is having that. I know. I mean, unless it's propaganda, I don't think it is. Like California, a lot of like L.A., San Francisco, like you can essentially rob a store as long as it's within a and no one can do anything about it.
as long
What
as
are your thoughts on
you
that?
take, yeah, it's like theft under 1,000. As long as it's misdemeanor, they're probably
Yeah, I mean, I
letting
think
go.
yeah, exactly. Or also that even these people when they go to court, it's like the they're not they're choosing not to prosecute.
Okay, yeah, it's probably because the legal system is backed up so much. The docket is for months, if not years long. But as a man who has been convicted of a misdemeanor theft charge, as we all know, I'm for it. I'm for it. Let's not jam up someone who stole a couple candy bars from your local
Well,
bodega.
but what if they do it on a regular basis?
Uh
It's no longer a one-off. It's like becoming let's call it a part-time job.
yeah.
Which
So
there is a term now in LA. It's called boosting, which essentially is that.
um, well, I can give you the my like legal answer, and I can give you the moral answer. The moral answer is that's fucked up. You're a piece of shit if you're doing that because you're stealing from someone who's trying to run a business and their own personal business. It's like the local bodega owners. Those are there's no franchising there. You're literally taking money from someone's pocket on a consistent basis. That's fucked up. So you got to look at yourself in the mirror there. But in terms of, I think uh, the authority figures, so law enforcement and prosecution and the judges, there's bigger fish to fry, man. Like if someone is stealing a fucking Snickers every week, I mean, fuck it, let the streets deal out that justice. You know what I'm saying? So let if the bodega owner wants to go full on like what's that movie with Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence um, and Will Smith. Yeah, the someone robs a bodega in that movie, and then the bodega owner pulls out it's like just ridiculous pistol from underneath his like the cash register. Remember that scene? He's also Will Smith has another scene like that. And remember in Men in Black where Vincent D'Onofrio, the what's he called? The bug, the roach.
Yeah.
The bug steals like a pest. What's the word I'm looking for? Who kills the pest? Who kills bugs in your house? Exterminator. And when he tries to steal the exterminator's truck, and the guy pulls out like a Joker gun, like a 12-inch long pistol. He goes, please. Vincent D'Onofrio pulls out that little fucking Men in Black pistol. I don't know, but it's if the streets want to deal with that, I'm all for it. But in terms of the legal system, we gotta get through bigger cases than that, and that's why it's the same thing with like small drug possession or even drug dealing. If you're if you're in New York, it's still illegal to deal marijuana. It's only legal medicinally as of now. It's not full on recreational. Although you can still go up. Smoke shops in New York have weed now that you can just go buy. It's not really enforced, but it's not official policy yet. So as long as wait till we like alleviate some of like the major crimes that are going on, and then we can deal with like the small time criminals. But for now, like morally, yes, I'm against that because, only because it's more of a personal thing. I view it in that way. You're literally stealing from someone who's trying to make a living. That's it's he's just a regular citizen trying to make a living. He's not a bank. He's not a hedge fund guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not some big corporate institution that you're taking from a guy that's just that more than likely in terms of major cities is an immigrant that moved here and he's just trying to run a business and you're fucking him over to his face over and over. That's I'm not down with. But in terms of the enforcement and the jurisprudence part of it, we got bigger fish to fry as of now. So pack of Skittles, I'm willing to let the pack of Skittles go. You know what I'm saying? That's that. I know I've been long winded, but that's my answer.
No, no worries. So I want to tie this back into. I'd asked you before we were going to do this episode. Like, let's do some predictions for the new year, 2023. And as we're coming up on an hour and 40 minutes, did you get a chance to think about that? What are your thoughts on like the
Predictions
new
on just
year?
the world. And
Yeah, like
yeah,
the new, like yeah, I mean the world.
um,
Yeah, I mean like just looking at 2023, like what do you see coming down the road, if anything? Maybe you're gonna take it a day at a time
uh,
and let what happens
I
happen.
think
But do you have any
marijuana
expectations?
becomes federally legal in the entire United States. That's a bold prediction. I'm going to say by this fall, it's going to be medicinal legal for marijuana in all 50 states. And New York is going to be recreational. There'll be dispensaries in New York before the end of 2023. For sure. Done. So that's number 1. So we can all get stoned together and not have to fucking worry about the cops crawling up our ass for no reason. Um, which is going to put a lot of people out of business, though. The black market is good, does not want that to happen. But that's a whole nother episode. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
actually, while you were talking a moment ago, I was looking. I saw a headline. It was saying that the black market of cannabis in the U.S. is actually like causing the legal market a lot of problems
yeah,
because it's still cheaper to buy it in the black market than it is to buy it in the legal market.
yeah. See, then we're going to start getting into like some Goodfellas casino shit, where Robert De Niro is going to have his henchmen burn down your fucking dispensary because my man needs to sell his weed that he got illegally on the side. You get me? They'll find a way. They'll find a way. Um,
Nature will find
yeah.
a way.
Like what is Dr. Ian Malcolm said? Life finds a way.
Life, yes,
Yes.
life,
Uh,
life finds a way.
uh, uh, the new Jurassic Park movie is an abomination. By the way, horrific. Don't watch it. Do not watch it, even though it has Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and
Yeah, I
Jeff
like
Goldblum.
Sam Neill, but there's a good movie with Sam Neill, and this I'll just a brief momentary tirade.
Yeah,
If you see it, I think it's on Netflix. It's great. Sam Neill's awesome. I
great
love Sam
actor.
in Boondock and not in Boondock in Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
Fantastic, but it's like he plays. It takes it's in. He's from Australia, I think. It's an Australian movie. It's like him. He's like this old guy, and there's like this young kid, and it's just like this odd combination. And they're living in like like the outback of Australia, like kind of off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta find out what it's called. But anyway, sorry, keep going.
Wait, I like Sam Neill too. I want to see that movie. I didn't know he was Australian. Is he?
Yeah, he's either New Zealand from New Zealand or
Yes, he's from
Australia. One,
Oceania.
one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah, that I all right. That's cool because he put his Irish accent in Peaky Blinders is amazing.
He's great,
Yeah,
man. He created like such a villain in
yeah,
that
he's
program.
awesome in Peaky Blinders. As like the inspector who's trying to catch our boy. Speaking of our boy Killian Murphy, uh, Thomas Shelby. Uh, he has the. Did you see the Oppenheimer trailer? The Chris Nolan.
I didn't see the trailer. I saw that there was a trailer, but I haven't seen it. Did you watch it?
I did watch the trailer.
How's it?
Oh,
Does that movie look
it
good?
looks amazing. It's Killian Murphy and Christopher Nolan. How can it not be good? It's ridiculous. And I believe the music is Hans Zimmer again, of course. Um, but
Interesting. I
it's
mean, I feel like Chris Nolan has his crew of people that he
yeah,
likes, and they just pop up time and time again.
yeah. It's that movie looks really good. It, but it's the trailer alone has like 35 million views on YouTube, and it came out like 2 days ago. It's ridiculous.
It is because it's like, dude, I don't watch movies anymore. Not really, because I don't even think there's good movies that come out anymore. Like maybe I'm wrong, but like remember when we were kids? Not even kids. Like a few years ago, like you'd see. I would go to the movies. Like there would be movies that come out, and I'd be like, I want to go see that. Like that like seems very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a long time since I felt that way. I think the last movie I saw in theaters was no, actually I saw Top Gun,
No, we saw Batman.
but we saw Batman. You, me,
And Vado.
and Vado.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Um,
I kind of that's
I've seen it twice. I saw it on a plane ride. I like that movie quite a bit.
so do I. Uh, the actor who played the not the Joker, the Riddler, he has like a
Yeah,
big budget movie that he's in now too. I forgot who it's with. It's like with Reese Witherspoon or something like that.
yeah. He's an interesting kind of quirky guy.
Yeah, he's getting big now too. Um, but anyway, yeah, I'm looking at the cast for Oppenheimer just real quick.
We got Tom Hardy in there. He's another part of that crew.
Yeah, he's in it. Gary Oldman, of course.
Tom Hardy's in it.
No, he's not. Well,
Oh, so
I'm gonna say he's not billed, but he can make an appearance. You know what I'm saying?
he's like a random scientist or
Yeah,
something
he
that pops up in
just
a
a
one
cameo.
scene.
Yeah. Which is what I'm glad you said that. One of my favorite cameos of all time was in um
Dunkirk.
Shaun of
No.
the Dead. No, I think he was billed. One of the funniest things you've ever said was when we first saw another movie we saw together with Vado and Oscar. It was the Wolverine and the last Wolverine, which was decent. Actually, I have never saw it back.
I liked it. Yeah.
And we saw the trailer for Dunkirk, and then you turn to me and you go, "Time freezes when Tom Hardy is on the screen." And it does. It's just like it goes in slow motion when he's on the screen. He doesn't
It's
even.
not like he did it. He didn't do anything in that movie. I
No,
mean, literally, he's in a plane and
yeah,
he's
it's
just
like 5 lines.
quiet.
Yeah,
Yes, it's like, dude, that's it. That's it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he leaves a mark on the
He
movie.
does.
Good actor.
Great actor. So there's, we have, like you said, we have like Christopher Nolan's like crew. We have Gary
Yeah.
Oldman, of course, Killian Murphy. Yep. Uh, there's a couple of there's some interesting choices. Jason Clark, he's pretty big now. Um, Emily Blunt is the lead actress. Robert Downey
Okay.
Jr., Matt Damon, Rami Malek, Florence Pugh, Josh Hartnett. This is good. This is a major cast here. Yeah,
Interesting, because Josh Hartnett doesn't do too much.
yeah. He does. He barely works now, but he's in this. Um, Matthew Modine. Yeah, this is Matthew Modine also was in the Dark Knight trilogy. He was in all those. What's his role? He's like
Yeah, who is he? I
he's
can't.
not the police commissioner. He's like
Ah, yes, yeah, I know. What
yeah,
you're talking about.
he's a cop.
He's not.
He's some kind of like
He's not a chief.
yeah, he's like some I think he's federal law
Yeah.
enforcement. Yeah. Yeah, so he's in it. But yeah, that this movie looks good. It's all about the. I mean,
And
Cillian Murphy's the man.
did you see? It's kind of funny that like, because Gillian Murphy came onto my
Mhm.
on this my scene when I saw him in 28 Days Later. That was the first time I'd ever seen him
Yes,
in a
people
film,
forget that. Yeah, that's amazing.
and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And like, I was like, who is this person? And so I've always been aware of him, but I do think that like Peaky Blinders was his
Yeah, for sure.
like coming out party. Let's just call it
Hmm.
that. Like it was the one role I saw where he had the most lines. He was the most like it's his show. I mean, everyone else is like a minor character in that.
Hmm.
Like you and a lot of it's just monologues. Like it's literally just him thinking and talking or not talking. There's a great YouTube video and it's called like the art what is it? It's like the art of silence or like the art of inaction and it's all about Thomas Shelby, the character. And it's like a video essay just on like the nuance of his silence and how he like weaponizes silence
Mm.
to his advantage, right? Like if you watch that, like the scene when sorry, I really like Peaky Blinders.
Great show.
Yeah, the scene where he's confronting Tom Hardy's character for the first, like really the first time, like not the first time, the second time. Tom Hardy's kind of betrayed him, and now they're sitting, and he drops the bomb or appears to hide like a grenade behind
Yeah. Yeah.
the booze,
Hmm.
right? And like he tells him, kind of like, hey, like that's when Tom Hardy kind of says, hey, like sell your. I'm gonna give you an offer you can't refuse. Like, give me your businesses, or I'm gonna shoot you in the face. And that whole scene, he's just like unperturbed, no reaction, no real facial expression, calm, silent, very economical in his movements and his behavior. And like that's like a kind of a quality of that character throughout the whole show. Um, yeah, great. I like Killian Murphy a
he's
lot.
he's one of the best actors going right now.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I really do
Tom
think.
Hardy plays like the Jewish gangster English guy, as like Solomon's is his name, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
What a role to like this shit. Every time Tom Hardy, he's usually only in one scene, and he's just the man.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he became kind of a meme of
Yeah,
himself a little bit, but like I
true,
like it. I kind
true.
of feel like he's like, "Hey, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wear a lot of rings. I'm gonna like this is my
Mhm.
idea." And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Go like do whatever you want. Like here's the lines. If you want to change them, change them. Got to be here at this time. When I hit roll, when we hit action, just do what you got to do."
Yeah,
And I feel like that's what he does. He's kind of like our generation's Marlon Brando because Marlon Brando was kind of like that,
yeah,
but in a more of a negative way. Like he wouldn't say his lines. He would like improvise. You never knew what you were gonna get. I feel like Tom Hardy's like a better version of that.
yeah. No, I agree. My last line on Tom Hardy is Taboo. Taboo season 2 is coming up. It's coming.
They made
They're
it.
good. They're making it. Ridley Scott.
That's crazy.
And the title of this article is Everything You Need to Know About Taboo Season 2 Potential Release Date. And then the first, like, whoever wrote this article is the man. The first line, the first sentence is just one word and it says grunts. That's it. Which is like, that's it. Half of Tom Hardy's lines in Taboo is just like the affirmative or like negative grunts.
Oh, he don't even
Yeah.
speak, man. Like that's what I'm saying. He's very good at not talking, and it doesn't. There's very few people who can like very few actors whose inaction or silence, just pure body language, is so powerful that it's enough, right? Like with Tom Hardy, you don't need to talk that much. It's not like if you watch Taboo, he does not have that many lines,
Yeah.
yet in no way does that affect negatively his performance.
It's
You're still interesting and he's still interesting to watch and observe, even though he says maybe like one sentence every like 3-4 minutes of the
yeah.
show.
I have a use for you. That's it. That's it.
I have use for you.
That's it. Yeah,
That show is
this
violent,
show
man.
is good. You
Violent.
know who's also one of my favorites now, and then we should probably start wrapping it up. Stephen Graham. Stephen Graham is the man. Dude,
Is he also in
he's in
Taboo?
Taboo. He plays like the wild lunatic, like street gangster guy. You know?
Yeah, he has the tattoos
Yeah,
all
yeah.
over his
It's
head.
over his face and shit. Yeah.
He's dude. He's another actor who he was in
He was in The Irishman. Dude.
he was in Snatch.
Yes, yes. He plays like the straight
And
edge
then
guy in Snatch.
he's in a lot of stuff. Like I think he
He's
was in
he's in
Sherlock.
Boardwalk
He
Empire.
was
He
in
plays Capone.
Boardwalk Empire. That's right. He's in he's not like what's the word I'm trying to like he's not a superstar, right? So like he's never really the main character.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at his filmography, like he's in tons of things. He's like a very solid, interesting actor. Like he pops up in like tons of movies, tons of shows. Yeah, his character in that is like very
Yeah,
interesting,
it's
right? Like
cool.
I like when they doesn't he steal Tom Hardy's horse?
Yeah.
And then he come, and that was like kind of a way to get him to like come and talk to him. He's like,
Right.
I have a use for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. It's like the way to get what's his name? James Delaney. The way to get James Delaney's attention, steal his horse. And that's what Stephen Graham does.
Yeah,
But like
that's
they're like kind of friends. I like their friendship in that because it's just them fucking with each other all the time, but they're still like
well, and he's afraid
yeah.
of him. Like he's
He has
afraid.
powers.
There's a
He has like
scene.
voodoo
There's a
powers. Yeah.
scene. Like I think when they're confronting, and like this is he's a gang. He's a gangster. Like he's a tough, scary person in his own right. And I feel like they're having a conversation. I forget what scene it is. And then Tom Hardy leaves. And then his reaction, like the camera kind of goes
And
back
he's
on
like
him, and
he's like shaking. Yeah.
yeah, he like
Yeah.
shakes, like he's like, oh, like almost like he was like mustering courage to stay strong, so that they dealt with each other as equals.
Right,
but the moment he left, he was like, oh,
yeah, he knew he was
like
a close
cold
call. Exactly.
Yeah, he's like, yikes, that could have gone very badly.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much like I danced with the devil, and I luckily I didn't get burnt this time.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. He's like he knew he was flirting with disaster there. And
Exactly.
he
It's
got
like
away
playing
with
a
it.
little too
So
close.
it's like the relief, the look of relief. He's like, oh shit, I got away. But it's because everyone knows. I mean, not to ruin Taboo, everyone should watch that. Very underrated.
This show's been on years
underrated.
ago.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's teased. We don't know how James Delaney has obtained these mystical powers. There's a lot of Native American, um, like uh, like mythology. Yeah. There's also like an African twist to it. Like we don't know how he has these powers, but he has some. He might even be undead. We don't know. That's my conspiracy. That's my theory. I think we talked about this. My theory is James. He's not really alive. He's undead.
He's possessed
by some
like
magic is keeping him alive like a zombie. Yeah.
Well, I like the line when he's talking to like his family servant, and the servant was talking about his father and how his father lost his mind, and he was like, he spent nights on the riverbanks.
I remember,
like looking into the fires or something, and he's like calling out to you, and I forget exactly what he said. He's like,
he kept.
oh,
I didn't hear him.
I heard him.
Yeah, I heard him.
How?
He's like,
he spoke to me in the fires.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I remember that exact scene, and that's when he goes. I think the end of that scene is the servant, who's also that's a good character too. I like him too. He's
in a lot
he's like an Alfred.
well,
he's like the older like caretaker who's someone who
he loves them. I mean, he loves
like
them.
Alfred.
Like that's the sad. Yeah, the sad scene is when like he finds out that he poisoned his father.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in a merciful way, almost like to put him out of
out of the
misery.
pain because he was dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's when he goes, James, you look the same. I'm not. And then he goes, that's part of my evidence that he's not really alive. But anyway, that's it. Watch Taboo, everyone. Come on.
Yeah,
it's on Hulu.
2 hours,
it's on Hulu.
It's
on Hulu.
I might watch an episode tonight. I like that show a lot. Good. I think I just like Tom Hardy, man. It's unfortunate.
I mean, Chris Hardy. I called you Chris Hardy. You still got the beard going? I can't see you.
Still got the beard. I need to get a trim.
All right,
Um,
buddy.
all right,
Yeah.
so, dude,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We should. I'm off all next week, so we should do another
We
episode.
will. Yeah.
I sent you a video.
Okay.
I emailed you a while ago, like a couple days
Yeah.
ago, about some random YouTuber I watched who did a. This is now we're going ancient aliens
Mm-hmm.
direction about the moon.
Yes.
You should watch it.
I saw the email. I haven't watched the video yet. I will.
Also, make a note for that same guy. He does a video on Tesla and the pyramids that will blow your freaking mind. And I want to talk about it. Like,
That'll be the next episode.
aliens have been on my mind, and the pyramids, and yeah. So I want to go down that rabbit hole.
All right. And one last thing, I want to plug our spin-off show, or my spin-off show, The Secret Truth with Bobby A, is coming out. And it's gonna be a YouTube. This is breaking news, people. It's gonna be a YouTube. So you're gonna see this ugly mug on your screen. And I'm gonna make it a video, like a video blog, like a vlog type thing. And The Secret Truth is coming. So that might be a Christmas present for everyone. The Secret Truth is on its way. It's being filmed as we speak.
Awesome. So you hear it. You
Yes.
heard it here first, folks.
Underneath, always in the nest, the trust tree.
Always,
Yeah.
always in
It's
the
true.
trust tree.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gents, for those listening, have a happy holiday and Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time with friends and family. And
Get drunk and high.
we will be talking to you soon.
All right.
Have a good night.
Peace.